Well, there it is. The clean sweep that we expected. It looked like the inevitable, and the inevitable happened. 3-0 in the T20I series, a clinical run chase, pretty much in the same amount of time as they did when they got past the 183 on Saturday night. So, two run chases over the weekend in Dharamsala. Wonderful crowds in there, wonderful weather, and the team just putting the icing on the cake. Here it is just to confirm what happened in the final of three T20 internationals. It all began at Lucknow when India took a 1-0 lead, came over to Dharamshala, and then picked up back-to-back victories over Saturday and Sunday. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live to look back at India's win today, India's series win, and of course, try and pick out a few players who we think have made a difference in this series for themselves and for Team India. I'm joined by Zaheer Khan, Dinesh Karthik. DK, I'll come to you first. Obviously, it was the inevitable, as we expected, not enough runs on the board. But once again, Shreyas Iyer, a bit of deja vu. Keeper gone, Rohit gone. Shreyas takes them home.
Fabulous. It's one thing to score in one game, but to be consistent over a period of 3 games, you got to understand that he hasn't played so much cricket. He hasn't had so much time. He's gone to South Africa, sat out a lot, came back here, gets the odd game. But when he's got the opportunity and a consistent run, he's shown why he's so good. You just can't look past him. He's just batted beautifully. 3 different games, 3 different situations, and all 3 times he's grabbed it with both hands and made a difference to Team India and taken them home every time, which is very, very important. And he's been fabulous.
I can tell you, Zaheer, we often sort of semi-jokingly talk about people supporting their respective franchise players. But when the winning runs were hit, just outside my window, I heard some fireworks. I went to check what it was about, and it was not a wedding. It was Kolkata fans celebrating their captain-to-be getting 3 50s in 3 innings.
What's important is, he was there right till the end to finish the game. That's something matters. That's something which we've been talking about. So if you have that kind of approach, then on top of the consistency which we're talking about, is going to be phenomenal addition to have and rub that kind of attitude with everyone around in the team as well. That's something which I think everyone will be harping on. I'm sure it will be highlighted that he's not just scored runs, but he was there right till the end to score those winning runs. So that is something which I was happy to see. Clearly, he was a standout performer from the India side, both the sides, for that matter, in this series, consistently performing, showing that maturity, and we got to see something different as well in those middle overs, where usually he used to be a little slowing down around say 7 to maybe 12 overs mark, and that is something which we saw different from him in the last 2 games. He was not afraid to use his feet, looking to hit those sixes. He's got that ability to hit those big sixes to the spinners, but he's not waiting for that. He's creating chances there, taking the initiative. That is something which is new from Shreyas Iyer, which we saw in this series, which will help his game going forward as well. But the consistency and the approach which he's shown was phenomenal in this series.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I think Rohit Sharma, DK, also achieved his objective in sort of passing the baton around, as it were, making sure everyone gets a go and everyone gets a chance in a proper, genuine match situation to show what they're made of.
Yeah, I think we were speaking about the fact that in the 3rd game, if they try something, and, unluckily, obviously, Ishan Kishan had to be left out, but they didn't add another opener. They made sure that it added an extra bowler, but gave all the batters an opportunity. Sanju opened, Deepak Hooda batted at 4. Ravindra Jadeja, in spite of obviously doing so well, batted at 6. But Venkatesh Iyer was given the opportunity to come on top. But the only player who played all innings in the same place is Shreyas Iyer, and rightly so, because he's been part of the team for some time now, and he deserves those opportunities. So, it was a complete power-packed, convincing performance from Team India, and the coach and captain would be very, very happy with the efforts they've put out in the last couple of weeks in the white ball formats.
And it's not a bad time to get a winning streak on the road. It was a difficult time at the T20 World Cup. Didn't start in the perfect fashion against Pakistan and New Zealand. But after that, it's been 12 straight victories which is a joint world record in T20I cricket, Zaheer. So timing couldn't be perfect. You've got to put that tournament behind you. There's another one coming up. Get that winning momentum going.
And in this format, GB, it's not easy. T20 format is such a format where because it's so short and things can change really drastically in a couple of overs. So to have this kind of consistency is phenomenal. To have the record in the grabs now for another win, and you will be the highest winning streak ever. So that is something which is very commendable, and in this format, it's not easy to achieve. So because of that, it doesn't matter which position you are playing or what kind of form you've been in. I know that there will be some talks around that as well, that but Sri Lanka didn't really put up the competition, which or didn't really challenge the team. But still, you have to keep on with your processes. You have to continue with the work ethics which you've shown, and not get complacent or relaxed. The good news is, in this last 12 matches which you're talking about, there have been a lot of experimentation as well. So I think in spite of that, we are able to put up a show like this has to be praised. The effort from all the boys who are part of this journey of winning streak, have to be applauded for sure. Because there were a lot of new faces also came along this journey. There were some known faces who were playing a part, but also there were so many players who were changing also. So I think it's a great achievement for any team to achieve such consistency in this format.
Yeah, it's a point well taken from Zaheer Khan. The shorter the format, the tougher it can be to actually maintain that, because you can have a team maybe who are not the same standard as you, but just in a matter of 2 overs or 3 overs, it could be a game changer and you could lose the odd game. But India haven't done that for the last 12. We haven't asked Cricbuzz live question. Lots of you writing in. We've picked one which is relevant to our course of discussion. Let's quickly get that one in. This comes from Maurya, and he says, how much does playing struggling teams like West Indies and Sri Lanka at home help India prepare for the World Cup? It's not something, DK, that you can always control, but even a team like the West Indies or a Sri Lanka who may not be at full strength, you're still being challenged by certain individuals. You're still being challenged, as he said, to make sure the processes happen, no matter who's at the other end.
For a start, we have to understand that irrespective of what the opponent is, playing for Team India, being part of Team India, being the support staff of Team India, there's pressure. Even if you end up playing, Belgium or Italy, it doesn't matter. If you're playing cricket for India, there is a lot of pressure. So I know it does look like after the game, probably they weren't as good, but it doesn't matter. I think Team India, when you've been part of it, and you can ask anybody, if you do lose a team against a so-called minnow or against a team which you're expected to beat, then the repercussions can be far higher and tougher. I think, yes, ideally they would probably want, matches against teams which are, settled and probably tougher games. But as we proceed closer to the tournament, I'm sure we'll end up playing, far tougher games, in the sense that we have a 5-match series against South Africa. So, there are a lot of good games coming up post the IPL as well. But for the moment, I think instead of looking at how poorly probably the other teams have competed against India, we got to give credit. And I completely agree with what Zach said, that the fact that they've tried so many players, Rohit was mentioning that he's tried a put of 27 players, to try that amount of players and still produce a 12-0 record is something fantabulous. And you got to give Team India the credit that's due for that.
I'm just a little glad in the middle of this discussion we didn't have Harsha Bhogle on our show, because when DK mentioned Belgium and Italy, had Harsha been on the show, he would have jumped down and asked me to name the Belgian and Italian teams in batting order, because once or twice I might have mentioned that I was following the Turkish Cricket League, and that was it. I haven't heard the last of it. So Harsha, in case you're listening, I'll try and get you the Belgian and Italian teams. But yeah, it's an excellent point that if you're playing a team who maybe are not at full strength, maybe ranked below you, maybe you're expected to steamroll, the pressure doesn't get any less when you're in Team India. But from Sri Lanka's point of view, Zaheer, they've got to introspect. I think Dinesh Karthik made a good point the other day when I used the word rebuilding. He said it's not really rebuilding. They've been doing that for a long time right now. They've got the personnel. They too need to look ahead to that World Cup and to finding the right individuals for the job.
Absolutely, I think most of the teams. I would say that looking at the World Cup and figuring things out, you've seen with West Indies as well. In the World Cup, they had a lot of experienced players. Now, post World Cup, which just happened for the next World Cup, they're now approaching the World Cup in a completely different manner. So every team will be looking to find their balance, looking to find finding and identifying the players which they want to take to the World Cup. Also keeping in mind the conditions. So you have to think of what Australian conditions are going to bring out there. What kind of strategies teams will be looking to implement against them, and what kind of strategies are going to work for them. So this is the journey they're on. When you look at Sri Lankan team, you definitely have Chamira, you have Lahiru Kumara, who's got that pace, who's got that bounce. Yes, when you look at that economy, that he's still trying to figure out what are his options. But because of his pace, he's going for those runs as well. So fine tuning here, there, and like I said, with Sri Lankan team, experience is going to be the key factor. You have to give players that much exposure at this level. You have to let them understand their game, and in the process there will be some errors, some mistakes made, which you have to take things in your stride and keep moving on in the right direction. That's the best you can do. You've seen with the batting as well. Shanaka has been the biggest positive. The kind of innings which he's played in both the games to finish the series was phenomenal. So you have someone like that who can add power at the back end. You have Nisanka at the top. You have Gunitilaka who's shown promise. You have Kushal Pereira as well, who's not been part of the series. You have Vanindu Asaranga, who has not been part of the series. So you have enough players who you can work around with. But you have to peak at the right time and give yourself the best chance, best opportunity to make that impact in the big tournament.
Yeah, and also let's give credit where it's due. There are a couple of names missing through injury, through COVID. So once they have the likes of Tikshana and, of course, Vanindu Hasaranga back, Kusal Mendes, Kusal Pereira, if they can at least get back to their full strength, DK, then at least they can start moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be a much stronger team on paper. It's very interesting when they combine together what sort of results they're able to produce. I think a lot of times they're flattered to deceive, and that's been the story of Sri Lanka so far. For about a few years now, they've had decent sides, a pretty talented set of players, if you could call it that. But overall, they haven't been very good. We're just hoping against hope that when they get on that flight to Australia, they have a good team. They have a team that can compete, because you want a World Cup to be well challenged and where most teams are competing, because in a Super 12 stage, you don't have many rooms for error there. So you got to be on top of your game. And everybody is hoping that a good Sri Lankan team is always a team to watch and enjoy, because they play with a certain flair and brand of cricket that's fun to watch, and West Indies for that matter. So we're all hoping the Islanders will come up with something special. But for the moment in this series, they've been pretty ordinary.
Yep, which probably goes for both the sets of Islanders who visited back-to-back the West Indies and Sri Lanka. Flamboyant brand of cricket, lovely parts of the world, but for now they came out second best on the field of cricket. Well, you mentioned who's going to be getting the boarding passes and the tickets to be on the flights to Australia. Well, for many people, this could easily have been a final call. And in that vein, we thought we'd ask both our experts, Dinesh Karthik and Zaheer Khan, to pick both bowlers and batsmen, and we'll start with the bowlers. Zaheer, we'll start with you first. Just about those who happen to have grabbed their opportunities in the course of these recently completed games.
Well, I think when you're talking about bowlers, certainly Harshal played all the games, has shown that consistency as well. In this format, we are always talking that as a bowler, you're always gonna have tough days. It's just that how you come out of that shows what kind of character you have as a bowler, and how you're looking at the game. I think Harshal showed that today, and generally he's been getting better and better. Since last IPL, we've seen he was the highest wicket taker, has developed that slower one as well. and can be used as a good cog in any bowling unit. So that is something which I was happy to see from bowling side. Siraj today I felt was very impressive, and not just going by this one particular game. He was immaculate with his line and length, looking to attack the stumps. But over the last couple of years, he has really come a long way. Has been improving on his bowling, grown in confidence. So that is something which I feel is great for Indian cricket. Every time he's got that opportunity, he was ready, and that also showed today, which was satisfying to see.
Well, if we're talking about one person's picks, we'll go on to Dinesh Karthik, and we'll stick to the bowlers. DK, your picks for this for India's standouts.
For me, my first pick is Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and I think at the end of the South African series, I think there were a lot of question marks about him. They were like, "Oh, is he lost pace? Is he the same Bhuvi that we used to know?" But I think in these last couple of series, he's shown in the T20 format why he's a force to reckon with. He won us a game, single-handedly in the death overs in one of the games in Calcutta when the going was tough. But in this series, what I enjoyed about his bowling was his ability to swing a ball, and he left the Sri Lankan openers clueless at times. And they, to be fair, I think they were completely baffled with the amount of swing and seam he was able to get with those balls. So for me, Bhuvi was definitely a standout bowler, because as you keep aging, the question marks keep coming, and it's important to show yourself more than anybody else why you've been good and why you need to be there at this level, and that's what drives you, that inner fire. And I think he reignited that and shown himself and the world why he is an absolute a beast of a bowler when it comes to bowling with the new ball, and a clever one at the death. Another bowler, similar question marks, but he's been my favorite for some time now, and he's he's a chess player at a young age, but for the moment he's an outstanding leg spinner, Yuzvendra Chahal. I think his skill sets is something that nobody's ever questioned, but just the way he was able to come and consistently pick up wickets, or at least create opportunities, is very, very important. He bowled in the power play, he bowled in between, and he bowled a little late in the game and made sure that he was on top of the game as well. So for me, Chahal has been somebody who's been terrific over a period of time, and I was so happy to do him. So see him do well, because I think he required it. Obviously, when there's another leg spinner who comes into the ranks, sometimes you could be, wanting to do that much better. But I think he was very sure of his skills. He came, he executed it. He enjoys his relationship with Rohit Sharma, and they have a really good rapport together, which you can see, which feeds off in performances as well. So for me, Bhuvi and Chahal were fantastic in the series.
Well, it's good to have different names being bandied around like this. And let's not forget, in Yuzvendra Chahal's case, missing out on that big tournament in the Gulf and coming back stronger for it. Zaheer, we'll go back to you, and we'll pick up the willow and have a look at the batters who impressed you the most.
Well, this was very easy, GB. Shreyas, I'm sure, is going to be everyone's pick. The kind of consistency which is shown, batting at number 3, finishing the games, like I said earlier, was very important. You're just not going out there and imposing yourself on the bowlers, but also making sure that you are there right till the end and finish the games. So that quality was commendable, and also the approach which I was talking about, taking those initiatives, taking the game to the opposition in those middle overs, was something which is an improved version of Shreyas, what I've seen in the series. So I think for that, Shreyas has to be there. Another name I would say is Ravindra Jadeja. New role, a lot of responsibility with the bat, and he has come through, has looked in a great touch right from the word go, in spite of coming out of injury. Has not played international cricket for a while now, but making this kind of a comeback is also a statement in itself, and how ready and how diligent he is with his work ethics. This is something which you can see.
Strike rate's absolutely phenomenal, 174 plus for both Ravindra Jadeja and Shreyas Iyer, over 200 runs for Shreyas. DK, I presume Shreyas could have been a common factor, or do you have 2 more names for us?
I'll start off by saying, I don't want Cricbuzz live to be boring, so I thought I'll choose somebody different, but I only think you can't go past Shreyas Iyer the way he's batted. I think, we have to always put things into context, I feel. And when it comes to Shreyas Iyer, we have to remember a little bit of what he's gone through since the injury that he's had. And, obviously it was a major one because the shoulder, he dived and got injured. And then after that, things have been a little tough. He came into the IPL, didn't have a great IPL, but again, picked for the World Cup, didn't play any games. He's been with the team, traveling along, gets a test match 100, goes to South Africa, again doesn't play. So he's had to fight his way into the teams. But when he's got this consistent run, he's shown why he is Shreyas Iyer and why he's so well rated, such a good leader. And, as I speak, I can see the big beaming smile on your face, as well as all of Kolkata. I think he's somebody who is, very inspiring to watch as a batter, because when you get those opportunities, you need to make it count. And didn't he make it count today? He made it count in 2. I thought he batted brilliantly. We can talk and, we can wax eloquent about how well he's batted, but for the moment, we'll just leave it with he's been phenomenal, and I'm pretty sure he'll be the man of the series. They can't look beyond that. And, I'm so happy for him, because sometimes when there is so much competition and when you're constantly on the road and you're fighting to get an opportunity, you can try and get ahead of yourself. And that's what he didn't do. He was calm. He made sure he batted and played the shots that he was good at. And just as Zach said, he made sure he was the guy who stayed right through to the end. And that's a very, very important quality. The second batter, ideally I would like to go with Ravindra Jadeja, because he bats in a spot like me, and I know how tough it is to come and do what he did. And I would love to, but I will just, another person who I thought batted brilliantly was Ishan Kishan. I thought he had a bit of a struggle in the West Indies series. So again, when you have one series like that, the question marks tends to come out. But in spite of that, he came. The intent that he showed in the first game with some quick bowling, we got to understand that Dushmanta Chamira and Lahiru Kumara were standout. They were world class. They bowled sharp speeds, and they bowled obviously some good lengths as well. But Ishan Kishan showed why he was a good batter, making use of both sides of the field. His first opportunity as a wicketkeeper as well. He's always played as a fielder. He got the full game under his belt. But the way he batted along with Rohit Sharma, in many cases, he overshadowed Rohit Sharma in that inning, which doesn't happen too often. So I enjoyed watching him bat. I thought he batted brilliantly. The shots that he played, he left Dasun Shanaka baffled at times, which goes to show that, you can be a hard batter to set fields to. So I was very happy for him. He batted very well. And these two were standouts for me. Again, I would like to say a word of congratulations to Ravindra Jadeja as well. Being a middle order batsman, coming and doing what he did, fantabulous. I think you have to appreciate what he's done.
Yeah, you can't miss him. I mean, he wouldn't let you miss him if he is anywhere on the field with ball in hand, with bat in hand, or of course, even when he's fielding. Just a quick stat to add to what everyone said. Only one person has scored more runs in a 3-match series or T20I series and been unbeaten. That was David Warner. Shreyas got 204. Warner got 217. Guess against which opposition? The same one, Sri Lanka. 217 runs without being dismissed in a 3-match T20I series. Shreyas almost getting there. 350s, absolutely outstanding. Well, quick change in format from the shortest to the longest is where we are going to be headed. And of course, the big talking point is going to be the talisman Virat Kohli's 100th test match. Now, the upside of it is, of course, everyone's getting ready to celebrate. The downside is the announcement, and I'll come to both of you to this, that there will be no crowds in Mohali for that particular test match. Second test is going to be in Bengaluru, in a sense, his adopted home ground. First test, no crowds, has to be a bit of a downer for such a big occasion, DK.
Look, I think by birth he's a Punjabi, so I think he'll be very happy to be playing in Punjab for a start. So I'm sure, somewhere he goes back to his roots. As cricketers, you find reasons to obviously play the sport, and I'm sure, he's somebody who's grown up in Delhi, but you can still see he speaks fluent Punjabi. Even with Zach, if I'm right, he might end up speaking Punjabi. And, we have to find reasons to be happy for a start. And I'm sure he's that sort of a personality who will enjoy his 100th test because it doesn't come around too often. We have somebody on the panel who's obviously played 100 tests. He can tell you exactly what it feels like. But it's a hard skill, and what he's achieved as a leader, as a batter, it doesn't matter whether there are crowds or not. I think the whole of India will stand and applaud the fact that he's been an absolutely talismanic player over a period of time. You just need to give credit for all that he's done, the kind of cricket that he's played. We can obviously talk a lot about his batting, but for me, him being a captain and the way he's driven Team India especially with their attitude towards fielding and their approach to playing Test cricket has been phenomenal in the last decade, and a lot of credit must be given to Virat Kohli. And in fact, I will go on to say, if ICC would be proud of where Test cricket is, and a lot of that credit should go to Virat Kohli because of the way he played the sport and how much he speaks about how important Test cricket is. And for him, 100th Test will mean a lot, as it should, and he's been phenomenal over a period of time.
Yeah, I suspect, knowing the man and knowing exactly what Dinesh Karthik just said, if he had to pick between the three formats and get to 100 in all of them, he'd have Test cricket over the others in a blink of an eye. Zach, I mean, I can imagine Virat Kohli fluently speaking in Punjabi. How good is your Punjabi?
I need to brush up my skills again. Obviously, I understand, I can speak as well, but it's been a long time since I've tried the language. Since I've moved away from the game, all my buddies are not. The dressing room banter is missing.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard colloquially yourself and Virat and Yuvi, all of them.
Absolutely.
Once you get.
Yeah. Once we get together, that's how it goes. But look, I mean, when you're talking about Virat and his special milestone, 100 Test match, 100 Test match is 100 Test match, right? Like, you don't need crowds to be there to remind you of that or pump you. You know how pumped Virat Kohli is every time he's walking on that cricket field. He's going to be no different. He's going to give his more than 100% on his 100 Test match, the special occasion. And then DK was rightly pointing it out that he has been a great endorser of the Test match format. So that is something which he should take a lot of pride in, and make the Test 100 Test memorable. If you ask him, he's just going to say that, like, every time I walk on that field, I don't think which number of Test match I'm playing. It's about giving 120%, if not more, and that's what we'll see from Virat Kohli in his special milestone game as well.
Yeah, well, I think they were both, TK and Zach, have been very polite about that. Not that there's reason to be impolite, but I just feel there would be a few people around the country who will maybe feel that maybe a swap in venues, maybe a change in heart, 50% crowds, anything possible. Could there be a change of heart? Let's find out. I'm sure no one's complaining about it.
I'll tell you one thing, TV.
Go
Over a period of time, one of the few grounds that I've found very hard to fill up, leave alone a Test match for even other grounds, is Mohali. People have been finding very hard to get to that ground. So
that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity. Virat's 100 Test, they'll flood in.
I hope they do. Otherwise, a colorful few personalities with some people like you filling in the stadium will make up for more than that. I think you just can go out there, wave a flag or two, and he'd be a happy man. But just like Zach said, I think this 100th Test is more for his. I think what it will mean will be a lot for his brother, his mother, his family, his close friends, because at the end of the day, playing 100 Tests is always going to take you upwards of a decade. And for him to been there and done that, I think he'll be a very, very proud man. He has a young daughter, and I'm sure she'll be watching, and she'll be very proud of her father.
Well, yeah, we certainly hope the family will be there. It'll probably be like a little, like a wedding and a reception. You have the wedding with friends and family close to you, and then maybe the reception will happen in Bengaluru for the 101st Test match. Let's say we'll have the party extending till there. But certainly his achievements are worth writing home about, worth shouting from the treetops. And let's have a quick look at it as we talk about that. 27 Test centuries, joint most by any player since his debut. 58.82%, highest win percentage for any Indian Test captain, third highest all time, taking minimum of 40 Test captain. 7 Test double centuries as captain. And of course, India's 6th highest Test run getter of all time. That last one, number 4 in that list, is going to be changing very, very quickly. So, well in advance, we of course will be there to talk about the Test match and cover it. But for now, I think we wish him all the best. 99 not out Virat Kohli as far as Test matches is concerned. It will be a fabulous occasion. Just looking ahead from the series point of view on the cricket field, of course, it'll be about Virat Kohli, but he'll be quick to remind you that it is about 11 players getting out there and trying to win a Test match, trying to win a Test series, DK. And I think that's the quick focus shift that he'll be the first one to remind everyone of.
100%. I think if he was a leader, you could see it. Obviously, he'd be saying that out in press conferences. But for the moment, I'm sure they'll have a huddle and he'll say, "This test match is not about me; it's about the team, and we need to make sure we win." And I think the most satisfying feeling would be the fact that if they go on to win the test comfortably, which is very much possible, I think he'd be a very happy man at the end of it. At the end of the day, he's always said he's somebody who puts team above himself. So he'll be looking at Team India trying to win that test and that series comfortably. And we have an interesting second test, which is a day and night test. So India's got a good record in that as well. So I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that in Bengaluru.
Yeah, that will be quite an occasion because we've had it at the Eden Gardens, but day-night test match in Bengaluru will be interesting, Zaheer. But obviously, again, quick change in focus, just a handful of common players and all the test specialists waiting to sink their teeth into test cricket because there are not too many in 2022.
Absolutely, this has been the new normal, isn't it? You have to jump from one format, change the color of the shirt, and the switch also goes on like that in your head, and you adapt to the new format. That's something which will be seen for sure. India has been phenomenal in test matches as well. In fact, their consistency has been greater in the red ball format than white ball format. So that's something which has been the exciting part. Looking ahead for the new challenge, there are hardly any test matches now after this as well. This year is going to be more of a white ball format, and the whole World Cup, the T20 World Cup, the whole build up is towards that. So very few test matches I think scheduled till October. So you have to make the most of it. So all the test specialists need to get their act together. That the opportunities are limited, so the focus has to be even more.
But there are two slots that have opened up. We've already discussed our reactions to the absence of Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane DK. But what that means is, never mind about them not being there, is those two slots are up. So you're going to have, in a sense, a new look middle order. What are the two obvious names you see coming up there to sort of keep Virat Kohli company in that middle order?
For me, one name stands out is Shreyas Iyer. I think you can't look past him. He's got 100 in his debut and he's been fabulous. Again, it's going to be a toss-up between... there are two ways to put it. If they're looking at a 7-4 combination, then probably you'll see a Shubman Gill batting at 3 and a Vihari at 6 with a Rishabh Pant to follow. But if they're looking at a 6-5 combination and they're going to play 3 fast bowlers, then I would see it'll be a toss-up between Vihari and Shubman Gill for number 3. Other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward in terms of the level.
Zaheer, any other names you can fill in there?
Absolutely. I think, they would want to stick with the 5 bowler combination. That's something which has been working for Indian team. You've seen time and again that they've not moved away from that. So I think they would walk in with 5 bowlers and 6 batters. Hence, I think, Shubman Gill is also coming back now. I was not part of the previous series, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he will get a chance again.
So, well, enough choices there, and of course, enough bench strength as well, just like we saw in the T20 International Series. For Sri Lanka, it also will be tough times ahead. They'll be fighting the occasion, they'll be fighting a strong Indian team, and of course, they'll be away from home in Mohali. Yes, without crowds, not a raucous Mohali, but nonetheless, they will be away from home. Again, a few common players. The one name that stands out, DK, is Dimut. Another DK. There you go. Their DK, Dimut Karunaratne, who is, of course, their test specialist, the captain, and for a while now has been the talisman at the top of the order.
I think Test cricket is a place where it's slightly more settled than the white ball format. They have Dimut Karunaratne. Obviously, Patham Nisanka has done well for them. Then you have Angelo Matthews, and it's going to be Lahiru Thirimanne and Dhananjaya De Silva. These are all the players who've done well in the recent past for them. Their batting is in a decent space. But again, against a quality bowling attack like India, so it's going to be, how well they can handle the fast bowlers. I do think it'll be a wicket which will definitely help the fast bowlers, especially in the first couple of days in Mohali. So it's going to be how well they can stand up to fast bowlers. They didn't look very appealing in the T20 format. So if that is anything to go by, they really need to knuckle down and make sure that they're able to keep the fast bowlers at bay.
Yeah, of course, in home conditions, Zaheer, the likes of Embuldenia and Jai Vikrama have really performed well. They've got a long, big boots to fill in terms of spinners, be it a Muralidharan or a Rangana Herath type bowler. They've done well there. May not be quite spin in terms of what they're going to expect in Mohali.
I think this is going to be a challenging series for Sri Lanka. There's no doubt about it. I'll be very surprised if the series result go the other way around. So you've seen it in T20 format. The longer the format, greater the challenge, I would say. And the way T20 format has gone, you would expect Indian team to go in with this kind of a mindset. There is certainly a gap when it comes to posing a challenge from Sri Lankan cricket side to the experienced and a force to reckon with Indian team. So I think in all the departments they will be feeling that pressure. They will be intimidated at times with the way Indians have been approaching the game. And they have Indian team has that upper hand as well. They have that belief as well. In the overseas conditions also, we've seen this team has been consistently doing well. So somewhere you will see that kind of a series. I feel Sri Lanka will try to make their way in, but I think this Indian team will be good enough to create that damage and win the series.
And the person who will be delighted with that damage will be their captain. Once again, we talked about him at the start of the limited over series, but now properly appointed, leading from the front. Final thought from that test series from both of you. Quick one, Rohit Sharma, the appointed leader. Expectations from him, DK.
I expect nothing less than 2-0 from him, and I think he can achieve it pretty easily.
Zach, you know him well in as a person across all formats.
Everything is going in that fashion, but I would say that he's not going to be looking at in a very result oriented fashion. You've seen that, you've seen it in this series as well. He was not afraid to try out new things. That doesn't mean that he's not gonna achieve the result. But the focus is definitely not going to be on the result, I feel. The focus will be on the processes. The focus will be on how he sees things. The focus will be on how he wants every individual in that group to approach the game. So the format is changed. There will be ideas around that. There will be a few improvements around that in new direction, which they want to take, which you've seen it with the T20 format as well. There was that slight tweaking. It's not changing the whole rule book or the whole approach to the game so far what's been happening, but there have been changes, and he's been very open about saying that we don't mind trying few things. We want to keep improving as a team. That has been the language, that has been the focus from him. So it will continue in that fashion in a different format.
Yeah, well, if you get the process right, the result will follow automatically. Rohit Sharma captaining Team India against Sri Lanka, starting the 4th of March in Mohali, followed by a second day-night test match in Bengaluru. Just one order of business, our joy factor question to be answered. And let's quickly remind you of what the question was. And here it is. In ODI cricket, Aiden Markram was the last to achieve this feat. Irfan Pathan, the last Indian to do so. What could connect Aiden Markram to Irfan Pathan? First, identify the feat. And that, of course, is the answer you need to give us or needed to give us. Lots of you gave it in. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. And this is the answer we were looking for. And it is open the batting and the bowling in the same match. You could probably imagine it from Irfan Pathan. But yeah, I guess now with Aiden Markram doing the same, we can also see that from him in ODIs. So that's a good one to spot. Opening the batting and bowling. Who got that right and who got it first? That's most important. And here it is. Our winner for today, the final winner for this T20 International Series is Samuel. Well done, Samuel _Crick. So we've had different winners coming to us throughout the ODIs in West Indies, the T20s, and of course the T20s against Sri Lanka. Well, that brings us to the end of this white ball part of Cricbuzz Live. We're of course looking forward to the IPL coming in a few weeks' time. But before that, Cricbuzz Live will be there on the spot. Cricbuzz chatter during the 2 test matches in Mohali and Bengaluru. Look out for it on the app. We'll tell you exactly who's going to be on. For now, just about time to say thank you to Zaheer Khan and to Dinesh Karthik.
Thank you.
Always delighted to have them around. DK said doesn't want to make it boring. It's never boring when we've got this wonderful company. Thank you all for your company. And do join us again for Cricbuzz chatter. And of course, for a wonderful lineup we have planned for you during the IPL. That's all for now on Cricbuzz Live. Good night.